We are told that history is a story agreed upon. But what if the story is the lie? In 1785, the world was told that the order of the Illuminati was dead, a fire extinguished. But if the fire truly went out, why does the scent of smoke still linger in the air? Why are we still measuring our lives by a number that doesn't fit? 7. The irrational remnant, a glitch in the mathematics of our reality. The ancients called it perfection. But the order didn't want perfection. They wanted a frequency, a rhythm to which the entire world would unconsciously march. Deep within the grounds of a prestigious university, a door is marked only with the number 7. No roster, no public record. When one of its own passes from this world. Why do the chapel bells toll exactly 7 times? At 7 minutes past the hour. This is not a student club. It is a recruitment pipeline for the architects of the next age. Directors of the CIA, heads of the World Bank, the very men who write the code for the digital chains they will call progress. Did the rituals ever stop? Or did they simply become invisible? November 1910. A private rail car bound for a secluded island where 7 men drafted the Federal Reserve Act. In total secrecy. Was it just a bank, or was it a debt loop? It's a mathematical harvest designed to vacuum the world's wealth. Every 7 years. Look at the scars on our history, a systematic pruning of the world's middle class. While you struggle to survive the crash, the assets are simply moved upward. Why don't we notice the pattern? Because you are a biological battery. Your cells regenerate every 7 years. By the time the next harvest arrives, you have physically and mentally reset. The great work has not ended. It has migrated. It has evolved from the cold stone of the vault to the cold logic of the server. They call them the Magnificent Seven, a new pantheon of technological gods ruling from clouds of silicon and light. Their rise was not an accident. It began with a promise. A world connected, information democratized. Power, they claimed, was being returned to the people. It was a revolution, we were told, for us. But while we were celebrating our new digital freedom, the architects were building the walls of a new empire. Not with stone, but with code. Not with armies, but with algorithms. 7 companies, 7 digital kingdoms, each with its own domain. One for what you search, one for what you buy, one for who you know, one for where you go. 7 pillars for a new kind of temple. The old kings built castles of stone to project their power. The new gods built empires of data, so vast and invisible that we live inside them without ever seeing the walls. They did not need to conquer nations. They simply made them obsolete. And they no longer need to spy on you through a keyhole. Why would they? When you offer your entire life as a willing sacrifice to their data centers, every search query is a confession. Every location ping, a digital footprint. Every tap, every swipe, every online purchase is another thread in their global web. They own the satellites that watch from the silent darkness above. They own the algorithms that quietly shape your thoughts and desires. They own the very infrastructure of your reality. And what is the final act in this grand design? What is the 7th seal in this new digital scripture? It is the total liquidation of the individual. The end of the self. It is the dawn of programmable survival. Your bank account is no longer yours. It is a switch they can flip. Your social credit score is no longer a measure of character. It is the key to a cage you do not yet see. If your light turns from green to red, you are not just punished, you are deleted from the grid. And now they are so open about it. They speak of a great reset in the light of day with smiles on their faces. Why? Because they believe the circle is finally closing. They believe the frequency is locked. They tell you that by the year 2030, you will own nothing and you will be happy. But they never finish the sentence. What they mean is, they will own everything. Because they own the clock, they own the grid, they own the math. But even in this perfect sevenfold design, there is a flaw, a single human variable. The law of 7 requires sync. It requires your participation. What happens if you stop vibrating at their frequency? Does the math break? History is not a straight line. It is a circle. And we are coming back to the point where it all began. The symbols are no longer hidden in ancient texts. They are in the streets. The numbers are not carved in stone. They are in your bank account. And the eye is no longer on the pyramid. It is staring right at you through the screen in your hand. The final question is the only one that has ever mattered. Are you a willing part of their machine? Or the one single irrational variable that causes it to fail? We are left with a paradox, a question that defies conventional logic. If 7 men captured the world's money supply in 1913, why would they suddenly appear to give it all away? Look closer. Look at the birth of a new kind of institution, the tax-exempt foundation. Rockefeller, Carnegie, Ford. Names etched into the cornerstones of libraries and universities. We are told these were acts of grand philanthropy, a gift to humanity. But what if it wasn't a gift? What if it was a strategy? What if the architects of the system understood something we did not? That true power is not held. It is hidden. By moving their unimaginable wealth from the private ledger into these foundations, they created something new. A shadow state, an invisible government that exists beyond the reach of any election, any law, or any public oversight. It was a kingdom with no borders, an empire with no flag, a power structure that could operate in plain sight, disguised as charity. And from this new seat of power, they began to rewrite the world. Not with laws, but with reports. Not with armies, but with experts. Consider the Flexner Report of 1910. One document, funded by these same foundations that systematically dismantled the existing medical system. Overnight, centuries of knowledge in natural remedies and holistic practices were relabeled as unscientific. Quackery. They were not just discredited, they were criminalized. And what replaced them? A new system. A system built entirely on petroleum-based chemicals and patented pharmaceuticals. We must ask the question, was this for your health? Or was it to turn the human body itself into a permanent revenue stream for the very same families that now own the banks? It was the final brilliant move in the game. A closed loop. First, they indebt the world through their financial system. Then, they sell the cure for the diseases of a world under stress. If you own the money, you own the body. And if you own the body, you own the mind. The great work was never about gold or stone. It was about achieving total systemic control. A frequency that governs not just your money, but your health, your thoughts, and your future. The question is no longer if the system exists. The question is, how deep does the architecture go? The architecture of control required a new foundation. The age of gold and steel was ending. The question is, Why did the great work move from the vault to the laboratory? After the world burned in 1945, the architects of the next age did not just import the scientists who built the rockets. They imported the men who built the mind. Masters of psychological warfare. Specialists in the art of persuasion and control. They gave their new science a name: cybernetics, the study of systems, the governance of machines and of men. And from this new science, a new tool was born. We were told the internet was created to connect us, a digital utopia. But what if its true purpose was to map us? Think of it. If you wanted to build the perfect prison, a prison the inmates would never even see, wouldn't you build it out of invisible signals? A cage woven from light and information. The project names are not secrets. They are scars hidden in plain sight. M-Cultra, Operation Mockingbird. Promise, each one a stepping stone. A beta test for the final global experiment. And what is the name of this final experiment? They call it the user interface. Why this specific term? Because a user is not a customer. A user is a subject in a laboratory, a variable in an equation. Every like is a carefully measured dose of dopamine administered to keep you engaged, to keep you compliant. Every search is a confession, whispered into the digital void, recorded and analyzed. We have to ask the question, the one that sits at the heart of our modern lives: are we using the tools, or are the tools using us to complete the great work? Are we being systematically conditioned to accept a new kind of reality? A reality where truth is no longer a constant, but a variable. A reality where truth is whatever the algorithm says it is. While the foundations were busy capturing the institutions of medicine and education, a darker, more subtle experiment was unfolding in London. The Tavistock Institute. Its name is not carved on the cornerstones of universities. It is a ghost in the machine, a nexus point where the science of psychology was weaponized. The central question they sought to answer was not one of physics or finance. It was a question of the soul. Is it possible to break the spirit of an entire nation without firing a single shot? Look at the cultural revolutions of the 1960s. We are told they were organic, a spontaneous uprising of a new generation. But the evidence suggests another origin. Not a revolution, but a test. An experiment in mass psychological stress conducted on an unsuspecting public. Tavistock's research discovered a critical vulnerability in the human mind. They learned that if you keep a population in a state of perpetual future shock by shifting the culture, the morals, the very identity of a society faster than the human mind can adapt, the individual begins to break down. They become paralyzed by the chaos. They retreat from their communities into isolation, and in that state, they become suggestible. Now, look at the world around you. Look at the modern news cycle. The 24-hour outrage machine broadcasting directly into your home. One crisis after another. One trauma never resolved, only replaced by the next, more shocking event. A never-ending symphony of fear, anger, and division. We have to ask the question, is this a failure of the modern media, or is it the Tavistock Protocol working perfectly? Is it possible that the goal is not to inform you, but to exhaust you? To keep the collective mind in a constant state of shock and anxiety, too tired and too distracted to notice the bars of the cage being welded shut around you. Are you living through history, or are you living through a carefully managed psychological operation? The design of your cage isn't just digital, it's physical. It is the world you see when you walk out your front door. Ask yourself, why does the modern world feel so inhuman, so alienating? Look at the seats of power: Washington, D.C., Brussels, London. The architecture has changed. Gone are the pillars of the old republics. In their place, huge windowless slabs of concrete and glass, a style they openly call. The hypothesis is not one of aesthetics. It is one of psychology. The architecture is designed to induce a specific state of mind, anomie, a feeling of rootlessness, of personal insignificance in the face of an overwhelming impersonal structure. In the old world, the great cathedrals were built to draw the eye upward, to lift the human spirit toward the heavens. In the new order, the cities are built to crush it, to press you down. You are housed in concrete boxes, stacked one on top of the other. You work in sterile cubicles, bathed in the cold blue light of a screen. You are tracked and monitored by a grid that never sleeps. And now, they sell you the future, the smart city, a utopia of convenience and efficiency. But look at the design. Tick update of an 18th century prison design. A tick. The panopticon, a prison where the guard sits in a central tower, invisible to the inmates. Because the prisoners can never know if they are being watched, they must behave as if they are always being watched. They become their own guards. The digital panopticon of the internet and the physical panopticon of the smart city. Two sides of the same coin. A cage for the mind and a cage for the body. The final question is not whether the prison exists. The question is, have you been conditioned to love the walls? We have reached the final stage of the great work, the capstone on the pyramid. The World Economic Forum has given it a name, the Fourth Industrial Revolution. It describes it as a fusion of our physical, digital, and biological identities. But what does that mean? It means the all-seeing eye is moving. It is moving from the dollar bill to your DNA. The final goal was never just to govern you. It is to recode you. Transhumanism, genetic editing, neural interfaces. They sell it to you as human enhancement, the next step in our evolution. But we have to ask the final, terrifying questions. If your brain is directly interfaced with the digital grid, hones your thoughts. If your unique biological data is stored on a global blockchain, who owns your life? The New World Order was never going to be a government of men in dark rooms. That is a caricature. The reality is far more elegant. It is a global operating system. And in this new system, you are not a citizen. You are not even a user. You are a node, a data point, a resource to be managed. And if you do not comply with the parameters of the system, you are not arrested. There is no trial. There is no judge. You are simply deleted. Your access is revoked. Your data is wiped. Your existence is rendered incompatible with the new reality. The great work is complete. The pyramid is finished. And its shadow covers the entire world.
Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content just like this. Don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next one.